So guys, welcome back to the channel today. As you can see, we have a 100% electric e-Golf that I've picked up from the guys at Esplanade today. They've given me a little coffee as well because it's absolutely freezing today. We're going to go through this car. As a petrol head, I understand electric cars, it's a touchy subject for everybody, but as a personal V8 fan, I've driven a few electric cars. I've just driven this here. What I'm going to do in this video is go through it from a petrol head's point of view. Because these cars are becoming readily available, in fact, this one right now is £31,000 with a £3,500 grant from the government when you do buy it. It means it's actually quite good value for money. And at 4p per mile to actually run this thing, it makes a perfect city car. So if you had an exciting gas guzzling car at home, this could be the car to buy for daily use. But as usual guys, we're going to go through this car, see how good it is. I'm going to drink my lovely coffee because it is absolutely freezing today, you have no idea. And we're going to experience this together as car enthusiasts, as petrol heads. Is this the way to go? As ever guys, make sure you like and subscribe. Check out the other videos on the channel, but let's get into this car. Now, as ever, we are going to start under the engine bay. And when was the last time I opened an engine bay that looked like this? I haven't on the channel. So, an electric engine running the front wheels in a Golf. It produces 136 brake horsepower, 290 Newton meters of torque. As I've already said, does 4p per mile in electric, very cheap to run. As you can see, there is a lot of space in here. You can, in fact, in my opinion, get another engine in it. That would be exciting. Now, driving this electric motor is a 36 kilowatt an hour battery, no gearbox though, and I think the 0 to 60 is around 9 seconds, but the actual 0 to 35, as I will explain in the driving portion of this review, is a feat to behold. It's incredibly darty. Yeah, darty, we're going with that word. Now, styling wise, as you can see, a couple of changes from the normal Golf setup. You have this more streamlined grille at the front, obviously to reduce drag and increase your range. You also have this blue line. Now, I loved the Mark 7 when it came out, especially the GTIs, because they had this red line going through into the headlights. And this is another thing, I actually really like this little quirk. The blue line obviously means electric these days. It actually follows all the way down into the front lights. I like that little touch. So if you like your GTIs, you will notice that straight away as a little quirk to the e-Golf. Now, the wheels, as you can see, are completely filled in pretty much. There's a couple of gaps, but this again is to reduce drag and increase that electric motor's range. This also goes down to the side skirts, which have also been trimmed and filled to increase the range of this car and keep down its drag. It's the same story at the back where you have a filled-in diffuser to reduce drag. You also, interestingly, have some sort of fake exhaust mouldings in the back bumper. One of the things I did notice though is e-Golf, lovely badging, but it has tinted rear lights like the GTIs and the Rs. Again, I think a petrol head or a performance orientated person would notice that straight away. I just think it doesn't make it look electric, it makes it look a little bit cooler. Now, although the boot space, or floor especially, is where the batteries are, it doesn't actually intrude as much as I was thinking. As I first opened this up, I was expecting this size boot. It is relatively shallow, don't get me wrong, but so are most cars when they do have a spare wheel in them. So it's sort of the same in my opinion. As we lift this part up, you can see the charging cable inside, but it's not too intrusive into the rear boot space, especially, as I was expecting. So another huge tick from me. Now, charging this car up, as you can see, the charger cable and the entry to the charging cable actually goes in where your normal filler cap would. Understandably, it makes it easier to make this car. Understandably though, a lot of people in the electric car community wouldn't appreciate this being here. They'd rather it at the front because, of course, you drive into an electric station, plug it in at the front, it would be cool, but you have to reverse this car in and actually hook it in. I understand that's a bit of a annoyance to some people, but from a petrol head's point of view, I've never, other than Porsches and my old Cadillac, which was in the number plate, filled a car up at any other point around the car. So for me, as a car guy that just fills his car up from the same place on pretty much any car, would not be put out by having the charger point there. Rear passenger space is again exactly like a normal Golf. The batteries don't intrude into the rear footwells, which is a massive plus point because obviously it's all at the back. So you get the normal interior and interior space, see this? Loads of space that you would normally get in a Golf. It even has fold down armrest with cup holders. We love cup holders. Well, I like cup holders. It's just easy, isn't it? Now we come to the interesting part, the driving position, what it's actually like to sit in. The thing to really talk about is that it is no different, in my opinion. You have a little bit of blue stitching around the steering wheel. You have blue accents, the gear stick. Apart from that, you wouldn't even know that you were in an electric car, which is the perfect thing because I understand that some people don't want to feel like they're in an electric car. Now I actually picked this car up, as you'll see in a minute, with around just over half its battery power, and it still had 90 miles range. I understand that 144 miles to a full charge on this is on the lower end of the electric car craze at the moment, and I understand that that might not be what you're after, but if you are going through town and stuff and you just want a good VW product, there is nothing else you're going to buy but this car. But this has the upgraded display in front of us, which is a £500 option. Of course, if you're getting so much money off it from the government, I would opt that, if I'm quite honest. It has the large center screen as well with navigation, media, apps, phone, all of the good stuff you would usually find in your Golf. But from the driver's point of view, there's not a lot to talk about because the reality is you could get in a GTR, yes, the seats will be different, or an R for that matter. Yes, things will be slightly different, but they won't be worlds apart from the interior of this car. It even still has radar guided cruise control for a lot of ease. It even still has driver modes, which you can flick from normal to Eco Plus, but there is no sport mode. Now, this is the point in the video where we're going to do the driving part. I understand from a petrol head's point of view, this is going to be the weirdest part because start engine, foot's on the brake, everything lights up, the brake pedal goes down, charge in front of me. Oh, we have the radio on. Ooh, lovely dash and everything set up in front of me, but the car in theory is on. Selection here, like a normal Golf, down, so to drive, and forwards we go. Now, the first thing as a petrol head you've straight away realised is that we haven't actually started. The car hasn't physically started in your head. You haven't started the engine and driven. You're just driving, which makes some sense in my head. The weirdest thing you have about an electric car is that part, I think. Once you get rolling for a daily commuter, something that you just want to drive, it's completely quiet in here. Now the first thing you notice from that 136 brake horsepower, 290 Newton meters of torque electric engine is that it's incredibly fast from 0 to 35. Now if my memory is correct, the 0 to 35 on this car is actually faster than the Golf GTI. So exactly the same car, this is actually physically faster to 35 miles an hour. So through town, you know, through the back roads and stuff, you'll feel that torque figure coming in. It's a very important thing because as a car enthusiast, you still want to enjoy the fact that you can dart in and out of places. Now, as you can hear, complete silence from this thing. That was one of the things when I first drove an electric car, I was expecting so much more mechanical noise coming from the car, and the only bit that I can actually feel from the driver's position, a little bit of wind, maybe a little bit of tyre, but nothing out of the ordinary. Part of this review, I've gone with you guys right here just to show the clocks more than anything. The 0 to 35 power, the instant power that this car has, is actually very nippy. So 25 miles an hour, put your foot down, we get instant traction control on a 60 mile an hour road, and we get to the magical 60 miles an hour. It is incredibly darty and nippy. Don't get me wrong, when you get past the 40 miles an hour, it does start to struggle, but for city driving and for darting in and out, even on this B road, if you don't want to, you know, go completely to 60 miles an hour, you can thoroughly enjoy yourself. 46, 48 miles an hour, put your foot down, there is instant power, which is a very,
very good thing. So finishing this video off, what are my thoughts on the e-Golf? I would say from a personal point of view, I would still have my combustion, gas guzzling petrol car. It'd be the car you take to the shops. It'd be your daily driver to work. I understand it for that. But completely replacing my personal cars with one of these, I don't see it happening. Electric cars are the future though, so to have one on the driveway is going to be a thing. It's going to happen. But I will still always have a petrol combustion engine on the side, but will make complete sense to have one of these as a daily driver. But as I pull back into Esplanade, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, share and subscribe. The future is coming. And from where I'm sitting in this Golf, I'm actually all right with it. I'll see you on the next one.